Okay, this is Carl Swinson reporting to you from Madisonville, Tennessee. Everybody, this is Darren Huff. He was the one that was stopped this morning by no less than 5 police vehicles, 2 of which were unmarked.
Upon the initial stop, apparently from the officer's perspective, we failed to stop completely at a stop sign.
As we got off the expressway and I was directly in front of him, as I turned off, I looked in my rearview mirror and saw blue lights flashing before he ever even got to the stop sign.
There were 5 police vehicles and a swarm of SWAT, sheriff's deputies, state troopers with guns drawn.
A ton of officers that ultimately pulled a felony stop, pulling us out, having our hands above our heads.
We were brought out of the vehicle, had to walk backwards at the officer's commands.
We were at that point disarmed, which we were legally carrying. We were asked if our vehicle could be searched because they were concerned about explosives. I politely and professionally declined their offer.
Then they proceeded to ask if they could search the vehicle, at which point I professionally declined their offer, at which point they called out 2 separate dog details to be able to walk the vehicle, searching, in my estimation, 1 for drugs and 1 for explosives. And they were pretty direct in asking me if there were any explosive devices in the truck, in which case there were not. Then they proceeded to just question me, and ultimately did not have to answer the questions, and for the most part chose not to. Then the conversation turned to them being able to search the vehicle again, in which case, I informed them that as an oath keeper, which was plainly written on the truck, that I am aware of my rights to be secure in my person and my property, so I didn't really see the need for them to search the vehicle. Upon completion of their duties, given the tense situation in Madisonville, the officer had requested from me his ability to hold my weapon until the event was done, and then I could call him on his mobile cell phone and collect my weapon upon a conclusion. At that point, I thought for just a couple of seconds and informed the officer that because I am an oath keeper, once again, I am aware of my Second Amendment right to first off keep and bear arms. And I felt if I complied with the officer, then I was no longer keeping my weapon, but that he was. And if I allowed him to keep my weapon, then that would in turn, and what I had informed him was that ultimately he is now violating his oath of office in the sense that he is now infringing on my right to keep and bear arms. So the conversation turned very interesting, and to be honest with you, I think they did show as much professionalism as they could, given the directions that they were given. And ultimately it just turned out that I educated them a little bit on what exactly their oath was, and it was certainly not to pull people over at will, performing felony stops over running a stop sign, and ultimately wound up with 3 officers taking a fresh look at the oath that they had taken, and encourage them that maybe later this evening they could pull out the Constitution and actually see what they've taken an oath to defend.